Location, location, location. Today, we're going to be talking all about warehouse locations. We're going to tell you what they are, how they work, and why you need them. Whenever you're in a warehouse or you're storing something, a key building block of inventory management is locations. And locations are really, really important because that's where you physically store merchandise. That's where merchandise is found, and that's where it lives. It stays in this place, and that's how you now locate it. In a warehouse, a location simply refers to any physical space that can be used to locate goods, inventory, materials. The reason we're in the warehouse today is I want to show you guys what locations look like. So here at Shipmate and at many places, we have different location types, right? A location type refers to a different method of storage or a different way of accounting for physical space. So you can have different types of locations. Here at Shipmate, we have small bins, we have medium-sized bins, we have large bins, we have shelf locations, we have half-pallet locations, we have full-pallet locations. We have all these different types of locations that are all used to store different size types of items, different quantities of items, and because of this, it allows you to be flexible. So when you're sitting down and you're designing your warehouse and you're thinking when it comes to locations, you want to think, do I want to have a stagnant, uniform location size? Do I want to have multiple types of locations? And what do I want those locations to look like? Behind me, we have a collection of what we call medium bins. So this is a medium-sized bin for us. We also have small and large bins. And like I said, there's also pallet storage. So when you're designing your warehouse, you want to think, what types of storage do I need to have to accommodate my goods? Some warehouses have very small bins. Some warehouses only do pallet-sized storage. But it's important to keep in mind what type of bins you're going to be using in your warehouse. Another thing to consider is forward pick locations versus bulk storage. So in a warehouse, some locations are a little more prime real estate than others. This is where you're going to want to house your faster moving, better selling items, and you want to get them as close as possible to your packing area as possible because that means you have the fewest amount of footsteps between those items and your packing station. So here at Shipmate, we have a forward pick area and we have a bulk storage area. Our forward pick area is very close to our packing stations and minimizes the amount of footsteps our employees need to take to pick your goods. Meanwhile, we have bulk storage where we'll store things like excess inventory and palletized B2B goods, and we do that on other floors of our building. It takes a little longer to get there, but when they move at a slower volume or in larger volume, it's a lot easier to expend the labor to go get those than if we were to send somebody to the deepest edges of the building to retrieve something like a t-shirt that we sell, 10, 15 of a week. So it's important to think about how close you want to position those goods to your packing stations to make sure that you're using your real estate effectively because you always want to be working to minimize the number of footsteps your employees are taking every day. Another thing I want to talk about when it comes to locations is naming conventions. Naming conventions are really important. And what I usually recommend when you're thinking about naming locations is using alphanumerical data that conveys information that is easy for your pickers to understand where goods are located in a three-dimensional space. So simply put, I want you to think about grids, right? So you got rows and you got columns, right? If I give every row a letter and every column a number, I can, in a two-dimensional space, tell you exactly what location to go to, right? So if you play Battleship, A7 means something, right? It has a meaning. So we kind of do that here in a three-dimensional space, meaning we build grids on top of grids. With a row and a column number, you can get yourself down to just a physical shelf. And then from that shelf, you can use another row and column to determine the shelf location. So in other words, you're going to a point in the grid to get to the shelf, and you're going to another point in the grid to get to the location on that shelf. So this can be conveyed with two pieces of information. Because our warehouse is quite large, here we use 4 pieces of information here in this warehouse. So this makes it very easy to understand locations in a 3-dimensional space. What I really wanted to convey here about locations is that there's a whole bunch of different location types. Like I said, you can have shelf locations, you can have bin locations, you can have floor locations, you can have anything can become a location type if you're creative enough. And it's important to identify what types of locations you're going to need for your business. It's also important to name your locations in a way that makes them easy to navigate. I always recommend the grid pattern. That seems to be, the best practice, especially when you're talking about warehousing goods and needing to be able to locate things. So guys, if you could do me a favor right now and locate that subscribe button, we'd love it if you'd subscribe, share us with your friends, give us a like. We're really trying to grow the channel right now, and we need your help to do it. We're on that race to 1,000. We just passed 850 subscribers, and we're almost there, but we need your help. Thank you so much for watching the video. We'll see you next week.